Greetings, friends. Namaste. Welcome to this She and Right session ahead of International Conference on Family Planning, or what we call ICFP 2025, that opens in a few weeks' time in Bogota, Colombia. Today's She and Right session is on the theme of It is time for accountability and action after UNGA High Level Meeting around Beijing+30. Today is also World Mental Health Day. Friends, the United Nations General Assembly high-level meeting was held on 22nd September 2025 to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the Fourth World Conference on Women, where the Beijing Declaration 1995 was adopted along with its platform for action. The Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action is the most ambitious global political commitment on women's rights. It affirms that the rights of women and girls are not separate, secondary, or negotiable. They are human rights, and it has definitely helped to power advances in some critical areas like legal protection, political participation, education, maternal mortality, recognizing the need to tackle violence against women as a global priority, and more. But progress has been slow and uneven, and no nation has achieved full equality for women and girls and gender diverse peoples. At the 80th UN General Assembly this year, there were attempts made by USA to torpedo gender equality and human right to health. USA government categorically said at the UN high-level meeting on non-communicable diseases and mental health, which was held on 25th September this year, that it does not recognize constitutional or international right to abortion. However, ECOSOC adoption by consensus to revitalize CSW at UNGA gives us hope. UN high-level meeting on ending violence against women would be held at the 70th UN Commission on the Status of Women, or CSW70, in 2026. With only 63 months left to keep the promise, progress on SDG 3 and SDG 5 is lagging far behind. Hard-won gains are now under attack. Meanwhile, conflicts and climate disasters are multiplying. The human rights of women and girls are casualties of both these. This session also marks 2 years since Gaza genocide began. The Asia-Pacific Regional Multi-Stakeholder Dialogue on Comprehensive Sexuality Education was also held 2 weeks ago. It was co-hosted by one of She and Right's partners, ARROW, along with UNESCO, UNICEF, UNFPA, and Education International, in collaboration with the SDG 4 Youth and Student Network and YPEER Asia Pacific Center. Today's She and Right session is together hosted by Global Center for Health Diplomacy and Inclusion, CeHDI, International Conference on Family Planning, ICFP 2025, YPEER Asia Pacific, YPEER Laos, Family Planning News Network, FPNN, International Planned Parenthood Federation, IPPF, Asian Pacific Resource and Research Center for Women, ARROW, Women's Global Network for Reproductive Rights, WGNRR, Asia Pacific Media Alliance for Health and Development, APCAT Media, and CNS. A few quick housekeeping announcements before we begin. Participants, please type in your questions and comments in the chat box even as the speakers present. Please also mention the name of your organization. We will take up as many relevant questions as time permits after all speakers have presented. Let us now learn more about the Asia-Pacific Regional Multi-Stakeholder CSE Dialogue, which was held 2 weeks ago. It was co-organized by ARROW and YPEER Asia Pacific, and we have speakers from both these organizers. I am indeed honored to welcome Sai Jyothirmai Racherla, Deputy Executive Director, Asian Pacific Resource and Research Center for Women, ARROW. Over to you, Sai.
Thank you, Shobhaji. And a very warm welcome to everyone in this group. We are very happy to talk about this multi-stakeholder dialogue that we have organized very recently on adolescent well-being and comprehensive sexuality education. So, so basically, we all know that, as sexual and reproductive health and rights advocates, comprehensive sexuality education, though it is such a taboo, it is an important aspect of adolescent children and young people's well-being. However, we have so many barriers to advance comprehensive sexuality education. We also know that every child, every adolescent, every young person, regardless of who they are and where they live, they deserve an opportunity to learn and develop skills that will enable them to make safe and confident choices about their lives. And comprehensive sexuality education is one such life skill. And I have also said that, as SRHR advocates, one of our key agenda has been to ensure that we provide access to comprehensive sexuality education. Within the education ecosystem, if we see teachers as one crucial stakeholder group. And this multi-stakeholder technical meeting actually pinned down on the teachers and how teachers can be good enablers to provide comprehensive sexuality education. Global research also says that teachers are most important school-related factors affecting students' learning. And evidence also shows that addressing learners and health well-being and also through education improves school education, school attendance, retention, and also learning quality. So just providing comprehensive sexuality education not only improves the life skills, but also it improves the learning capabilities across other learning arenas. And that is the evidence that we have in regards to CSE. So keeping all this in the background and taking a unique stakeholder group who are teachers, ARROW, the Asian Pacific Resource and Research Center for Women, and UNESCO Regional Office in Bangkok and Regional Office in South Asia, UNICEF, East Asia Pacific Regional Office and Regional Office in South Asia, UNFPA Asia Pacific Regional Office, and Education International Asia Pacific, in collaboration with SDG for Youth Student Network and YPEER Asia Pacific Center. Together, we organized this regional multi-stakeholder high-level technical gathering. The technical gathering was actually titled as Transforming Teachers and Teaching for Adolescent Health, Well-being, and Gender Equality. And this was just held last month in Bangkok. In total, we had about 160 individuals, which brought together civil society, youth, academic institutions. But most important stakeholder group here were government officials from the Ministry of Education. And we had the representation of 20 governments from this region. And when we say from this region, it is from South Asia and Southeast Asia. We had the representation of 20 Ministry of Education officials. So that was already a milestone by itself to have so many Ministry of Education officials come together to discuss what is important to advance adolescent health and well-being. And comprehensive sexuality education definitely came up as one crucial pivot. There were a lot of plenary sessions that we had. We also had skill building sessions, and we also had World Cafe, where different stakeholders talked about promising practices, innovative experiences, and and shared good practices around adolescent well-being and comprehensive sexuality education. We also explored innovative programs. We also looked at what it means by gender transformative education. And one unique aspect of this whole technical multi-stakeholder dialogue was that the grassroots voices and the lived experiences of teachers actually were highlighted. From the perspective of teachers as to what is required for teachers to provide quality comprehensive sexuality education, these were the aspects that we actually explored during this multi-stakeholder dialogue. This was a 3-day coming together, and some of the key issues that emerged from this regional convening included one, in terms of recommendations, we said that investing in high quality and inclusive pre and in-service teacher training for comprehensive sexuality education, this is very important. We are talking not about students' curricula, which is also very important, and that is the agenda that we are all pushing forward. But in addition to students' curricula, we're also talking about teachers' pre and in-service teacher training curricula, which should include CSE. And this should be mandatory in the teacher training curricula, and it should also be integrated in both pre-service teacher curricula, but also in in-service teacher curricula. The advocacy was also for pushing for strong education system policies and also investments in teacher training so that they can promote adolescent health and adolescent well-being. We also talked about the meaningful inclusion of youth, adolescents, teachers themselves in the development of pre-service and in-service training curricula, because when the training curricula of the teachers is being developed, there needs to be consultations of the teachers themselves, and there also needs to be the consultation of youth and adolescents into such a curricula. And this was a recommendation that came out of this whole technical convening. We also talked about how whole school and gender transformative approaches, which will connect curricula, which will connect learning environment and well-being, all these also need to be included so that a whole school approach and a gender transformative approach is included in teacher training. And we all know that we are all living in a digital world. So staying disconnected from the digital innovations is going to be a loss. And as a result, the technical convening also talked about digital innovations and flexible lifelong learning as a medium through which comprehensive sexuality education can be realized and taken at scale within the education systems. One of the other recommendations that also came out of this whole process was teacher action research. So within the classroom practices, we need to enable teacher action research so that classroom practices and the pedagogy can be improved and it can be more resilient to meet the needs of students seeking such education. And finally, there was also focus on how we measure CSE, teaching and learning within education systems, and the data that needs to be collected at scale across the systems. So these were some of those key findings and recommendations that came out of that whole convening. And then what we will do is also we will share the report with you so that you also have access to the different innovations that are happening to advance CSE in the region and how teachers can be enabled to take forward this work. What was also discussed at this technical convening was, are we even also taking care of teachers' psychosocial health and well-being? Because a teacher's health and well-being also results in students' health and well-being. So we cannot just look at, a very extractive way of how, okay, we need to provide CSE to students, irrespective of what is the state of the teachers. Are the teachers having the right resources? Are the teachers having the right education materials? Are the teachers in the first place, having, proper pay, proper facilities for them to be in a well-being status for them to provide CSE? So these were also some of those larger structural structural and the systemic issues that were also discussed in terms of teachers' well-being. So, overall, we thought that, this was one of, since 2018, Arrow has been organizing these multi-stakeholder convenings together with YPEER, together with UNESCO, and every 2 years we have this convening. But this year was unique because we were working with 12 to 14 governments, and this year we had 20 governments on board. This year it was unique because we also had the focus on teachers. Most of the time we focus on students, but this time it was also the focus on teachers, who are a crucial part of the whole learning ecosystem. So I think what I can say is we can share the results and the reports that will come out of this process with you. And we will continue this, journey in terms of having conversations at the country level with the teachers, with the civil society, with the academic institutions who have attended the technical convening. And going back at the country level, there will be more conversations. And if anybody is interested to know further about this, they can contact Team Arrow. You can contact me. I can put my email in the chat. And that is what I wanted to share about this multi-stakeholder technical convening. Thank you, Shobhaji.
Thank you, Sai. Thank you very much. And thank you for talking about gender transformative education and the focus on teachers. Because unless we know, how do we pass on that knowledge to others? So the first step is to equip ourselves with the right tools. Thank you very much, Sai. Now let us listen to Zuzan, who is part of YPEER Laos as well as YPEER Asia Pacific Center. Welcome, Zuzan. The floor is yours.
Hi, good afternoon. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hello.
My name is Zuzan. I'm deeply honored to represent YPEER Laos and YPEER Asia Pacific as a youth, sharing my reflection insights from a youth perspective. For young people like us, Beijing+30 is not only reflections and past commitments, it's a call to action for the future. From the ASEAN Pacific Regional Multi-Stakeholder CSE Dialogue, youth voice encodes clearly that we need comprehensive sexuality education that is inclusive, rights-based, and adaptable to our diverse realities. Even today, many young people still face stigma, lack of access, and misinformation when it comes to sexual and reproductive health. So without addressing these barriers, achieving SDG 3 and SDG 5 will remain out of reach. Recently, I had the opportunity to join the Transforming Teacher and Teaching for Adults in Health, Wellbeing, and Gender Equality Forum in Bangkok, Thailand. These experiences reminded me of something deeply important as a youth perspective, that teachers are not just knowledge providers, but role models who can inspire values of equality, respect, and empathy in the next generation. Equipping teachers with the right training means equipping adults in health with a skill to drive, to think critically, to make informed choices, and to treat others with dignity. Another key reflection I brought from that forum is that true transformation happens when governments, educators, civic society, and young people work hand in hand. When we unite across generation sector, we can build education system that truly support adults in health, gender equality, and well-being. And that's why young people were asking for it, not just to be seen beneficiary, but to be recognized as co-creator, partner, and decision maker in shaping our own future. As YPEER Youth, we take pride in being one of the largest youth network advancing CSE and HIR in more than 50 countries across the world. Through our work in YPEER Laos and YPEER Asia Pacific, we are building platforms for meaningful youth engagement and intergenerational dialogue, where young people and adults work together as equal partners. We have seen firsthand the power of collaboration between governments, CSO, UNGA, and youth networks. When all stakeholders truly listen to one another, solutions become more innovative and inclusive, and ultimately more sustainable. Through our collective efforts, YPEER has promoted a digital learning, peer-to-peer outreach, and youth leadership in policy making, showing that when young people are trusted with responsibility, we deliver real impact. As we look forward to the future of CSE, it's also time to explore how artificial intelligence can support learning and accessibility. AI-powered tools can personalize CSE content, make it more inclusive for learners with different needs and languages. For example, AI chatbots or digital platforms can provide adolescents with confidential, accurate information about health, rights, and relationships, especially for those who may hesitate to ask questions in the traditional classrooms. Technology, when we use responsibly, can bridge the gap between youth and information, empowering more young people to learn, ask, and grow with confidence. We also emphasize that youth participation should go beyond consultation. Young people must be a part of designing, implementing, and monitoring CSE programs. This means establishing mechanisms for youth-led accountability, such as youth advisory boards, CSE mentoring committees, and intergenerational dialogues that allow feedback to reach policy making. Because accountability is not only about tracking progress, it's about sharing power and trust with young people. Looking ahead, accountability must mean more than just tracking promises. It must mean resourcing and implementing them. That means investing in youth leaderships, not only through words, but through real funding and capacity building. Integrating CSE into national policies and curricula, ensuring no young person is left behind, especially those from marginalized communities. Building stronger partnership across sectors to break silos and accelerate progress on SDG 3 and SDG 5. And creating mechanism for youth accountability so that young people have a real seat at the table, monitoring and evaluating progress on Beijing+30 commitments. On behalf of YPEER Laos and YPEER Asia Pacific, we remain open to collaboration with our partners, government, civil society, educator, and youth networks to co-create innovative solutions that advance health, well-being, and gender equality for every young person. We are ready to look forward to deepening partnerships and turning our shared commitments into concrete youth-centered action that transforms system to life. As we stand to this critical moment for this high-level meeting, let us remember that rights delayed are rights denied. Together, let's transform commitments into actions and action to last the chance. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zuzan. Thank you for your great words and for your thoughts on this. Very great. I now invite Shiphrah Belonguel, Global Advocacy Officer for Feminista, that is the International Alliance for SRHRJ. Welcome, Shiphrah, and please share your reflections with regards to UNGA UNHLM regarding Beijing+30, revitalization of CSW, and the upcoming HLM on eliminating violence against women at CSW 70. Over to you.
Thanks, Shobha. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're calling from. I'm Shiphrah. I'm a Global Advocacy Officer at Feminista, an international alliance for sexual reproductive health, rights, and justice. And we also serve as co-convener of the Women's Rights Caucus, a global self-organized feminist space with more than 800 groups and individuals that engage the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women annually. So my task today, I think, is to speak to you about the CSW revitalization process, which is this effort by the United Nations to strengthen the mandate of the Commission on the Status of Women. So one of the largest gatherings, right, of women's rights advocates, where we try to influence policy norms at the global level in the UN. So as WRC, we've been tracking the CSW revitalization process from the start because we know there's so much at stake. Put out an advocacy brief that made 3 clear demands. First, defending and strengthening the mandate of the CSW as a robust normative platform for gender equality. Second, ensuring that the agreed conclusions that come out of the process remain a central and ambitious normative framework, reaffirming member states' commitments to the Beijing Platform for Action. And last, safeguarding civil society participation and preventing any rollback of civic space. So this has been a particularly contentious point of advocacy, especially with several member states who have pushed back against institutionalizing practices that have to do with civil society participation, such as the civil society town hall. So since our collective advocacy, the revitalization resolution has already been adopted within the framework of the UN Economic and Social Council, or ECOSOC. So we already have our ECOSOC resolution stating the different kind of outcomes that have to do with revitalizing the CSW. So I'm just going to share some things that are important, that are key, and maybe things that would be important for civil society to, keep monitoring and watch out for in terms of implementation. First, starting from the 70th session, that's the next session of the CSW happening next year, we'll be seeing high-level meetings first on violence against women organized. So the CSW Bureau, which is this group of member states, that chair and organize the CSW sessions, will decide how the high-level meeting will be conducted. Next year also, on the 70th session of CSW, multi-stakeholder hearings will begin. This is not new, but it is one of the very few places where civil society is explicitly named in the resolution. So this is an important space for us to be involved in. And then next, another thing also not new is that interactive dialogues will continue. And there's an emphasis in member states being able to meaningfully engage in these dialogues. And then in terms of the review mechanism, so as we know, during CSW, we take up a priority theme, like a specific issue that each session of the CSW will focus on within the Beijing platform framework. But there's also a review theme or a review of a past theme that's taken up in CSW sessions. So modalities for this new review mechanism, meanwhile, will be taken up on the 71st session. So that's the year after next, or the CSW in 2027. And then lastly, one of the WRC's asks made it in the CSW resolution, which we believe, will help strengthen civil society participation, which is rotation of CSW sessions in different regions. Although it was stated that in the resolution that negotiations will stay in New York, there is now a mandate to rotate the location of the sessions every 5 years so during the anniversary years of the Beijing Platform for Action. So if you notice, some things have already been implemented for a while and are only being institutionalized by this resolution. But the implementation of the things that are stated in the resolution will be phased. Like I mentioned, that things will begin in the 70th session next year. And then there's also the review mechanism in the 71st session. So in that sense, it will be a phased implementation. Again, the role of the Bureau here, which is the group of member states tasked with organizing these sessions, are very important. But I think we also have to remember that, what the resolution represents is also just institutionalizing existing practices. And we fought for a lot of practices, specifically along civil society participation and engagement, to be maintained. And although it's not the best or most ideal state we had wanted to be for this particular aspect to be reflected in the resolution. We still have some wins, and it's important for us to really take advantage of that. So UN Women is also meant obviously to play a directive role. They continue to be the secretariat of the process. So the WRC will continue to engage the Bureau and UN Women to ensure there is transparency and accountability in the implementation of the CSW revitalization resolution. Okay, so that's the CSW revitalization, but I also want us to zoom out. As you know, this process of revitalization coincided with the Beijing+30 anniversary. So this year, we celebrated the 30th anniversary of Beijing during the Commission on the Status of Women session. And that timeline actually culminated up to the session of up to the UN General Assembly session in September. So it culminated in a high-level meeting at the UN General Assembly last month. You know, high-level meetings are a forum for member states to come together, and specifically for this high-level meeting, it was a forum to reaffirm their commitments to Beijing+30 or the Beijing Agenda and the gender equality agenda at large. You know, but at the same time, I think it's also important to contextualize all of this, like all of these processes that are happening in the UN, and really kind of understand how member states are actually pushing the gender equality agenda. And we have seen that during the high-level meeting, some are actually twisting gender equality language to push for more pro-natalist agenda, framing women's lives only through the lens of fertility and population. And we know that's deeply dangerous. So because this webinar is being organized ahead of the International Conference on Family Planning, I think this is the conversation we should be having, you know. When we get to ICFP, we need to be clear, we need to come together as a community and really think through and about how family planning is being tied to like ideas or emerging like panic around fertility crises or demographic panics. So we have to insist as a community of SRHR advocates that women's rights, bodily autonomy, and reproductive justice are not negotiable. And they will always be integral to any family planning programming and activities. So again, and just when we thought, we've had our fill of CSW revitalization, we now have to contend with proposals under the UN 80 reform initiative. So as you know, the Secretary General has started this process of a comprehensive reform of the United Nations. So what we're looking at is a specific work stream around gender equality and agencies, UN agencies that have a mandate to take care of gender equality. So for us, we're very concerned that these mandates are under scrutiny and actually at risk of being deprioritized in the name of austerity and efficiency. And it doesn't go above our heads, the fact that this is also happening in this moment of like growing anti-rights and anti-gender influence, right? And we want to really kind of think about why this is happening at this time, what political choices are being made. So the WRC and other feminist coalitions engaging the United Nations have put forward our concerns around UN 80. For now, our priority is to keep feminist movements inside these processes and monitoring them and disrupting as necessary, making sure that reform doesn't hollow out civil society space and doesn't sideline gender and human rights, but elevates them. I hope you guys join us. There's a lot in terms of conversation around reform and making sure that our normative spaces are sustained, and it will take all of us to make sure that happens. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shiphrah. Thank you for your wonderful insights, and We have taken a lot of learnings from it. Now we move to a very special part of today's session. We have with us Dina Chaerani, host of 6 O'Clock News, Family Planning News Network, and Yield Hub, to share with us the highlights of the upcoming ICFP 2025. Welcome, Dina.
Thank you so much, Shobal. May I share my screen? Because I have prepared the presentation.
Yes.
I think I can. Yeah.
Yes.
Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much, Shobha, and everyone. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and evening, wherever you are at the moment. My name is Dina Chaerani. You can call me Dina. I'm from Indonesia. And today I'm coming here wearing the hat of the representation of Family Planning News Network, or it stands for FPNN. And as many people, amazing speakers before already mentioned, Zuzan, Sai, and also Shiphrah regarding CSW and also the CSE convening meeting that's happening. I would like to highlight what's actually gonna happen in less than a month actually in Bogota, Colombia for the ICFP. And yeah, let's see what can I actually explain and also tell you what's actually gonna happen. So the ICFP itself gonna run from 1st to 6th November with 1st to 2nd is gonna be the youth pre-conference or another pre-conference meeting. There is also CSE pre-conference happening on the 2nd November, and the main event's gonna happen from 3rd to 6th November. There are a lot of pre-conferences happening, plenaries, oral sessions, and also poster session, as well as the side events, and even the evening programming. I would like to invite you actually to go check the website, the icfp.org. After my presentation, I can also share with you. And if you ever wonder actually where SRHR trends turn into actual practices, I think this is supposed to be the week, which is the week of ICFP itself. This year as well, actually it's larger and noisier because in a best way, I would say, because ICFP this year set a record 5,174 abstract submission, and the most in its history, which means more ideas actually competing for attention and bigger responsibilities to separate the signal from noise itself. And I would like to explain how we will do that through the FPNN mechanism, the Family Planning News Network, and ICFP Live Ecosystem in the next slides. So I know it's a lot of wordings. You can just screenshot it and then take a look again later on. But as you can see in here, there is a signal emerging across the scientific program and community agenda from the 2025 program. You will see there are topics around climate SRHR popping up everywhere actually, and from the heat, supply chains or displacements to financing resilience, especially now with the shrinking civic spaces. Also, the topic around youth leadership moves a side track into the core program. This year, there are a lot of youth-focused issues. Even the youth pre-conference actually led totally 100% by the young people all over the world. We have our youth subcommittee meeting happening. It was monthly. Now it's more bi-weekly meeting, which is it's great. Also, there are digital health and technology innovation, less hype, more quality content, and also it's going to talk about data protection. There is also law, rights, and decolonizing practice that ask who sets the agenda and actually who gets paid, which is really important, as the previous speaker already mentioned. And you will also find renewed attention to the reaching overlooked groups, for example, including disability communities and people living with HIP or living in a humanitarian setting. Plus male engagement and actually social norms work with measurable behavior change. And then there is one of the hard spine, which is financing, markets, data, and accountability, because if it can't be budgeted, it literally or rarely gonna get done. So if you want to count, the final scientific program anticipates around 114 oral long sessions, 40 oral short sessions, 8 poster sessions, and there are approximately 20 online sessions subject to change, which is, it could be change also depending on the people and whether they can come, and then visa issues. But yeah, that could be like that. And let me change the screen. Yeah. And in these sub-themes, like you can see, like beneath those headlines that I already shared before, there are a few currents run through the week, which is like the digital is actually everywhere. Like programs are actually integrated by design, like sexual reproductive health and rights linked with health system, education, and actually also climate change. There is also local power rising and justice sits at the center because you will notice there is like a menstrual health anchoring agendas, family planning and gender-based violence delivered together, and community generate data pushing accountability. There is also the network in South to South on purpose, and the 10 is widening, which is like talking about pleasure, infertility, aging, which is it's not longer whispering topics no more. So if you follow these threads across tracks, you will find the session that actually shift practice back home, which is we really hope that ICFP could be like the place for everybody, actually bring every hopes or like also the planning before and make it happen here, and then like chasing for the accountability for those people that already like signing and saying yes, we're gonna do this and that. And then there are a couple of ways for people actually can engage at the ICFP. We know that there is an issue of like geography. It's very far away. By the way, it's in Bogota. And I know some people that come from like Asia, it's like literally on the other side of the world. That's why we offer also a lot of other avenue for people all over the world to be able to participate meaningfully. Like you do not need a plenary seat to participate. Like you do not need to be there as well if you cannot. The conference is actually doubling down on the accessibility. We have, as you can see on the slide, the plenary stage. There is ICFP live stage, select high impact session that will be live streamed on YouTube as well and recorded to an online library. So people that cannot be there physically can be also watching that online or virtually. And each time slot includes a fully virtual sessions for colleagues who cannot travel, as I mentioned. And if you want deep technical dives, there is a paid virtual scientific stream as well. If you just need, you know, like a little bit pulse, follow the live broadcast on daily recaps, which is we have this family planning news network, like the family planning community reporter, which is they are all young people below 30 years old, and they will be like reporting daily using the youth friendly way so that like people can understand these sort of like jargonal and technical words and more people can engage. And we hope that it's going to be a calling in for many people to actually learn more about like family planning as well. So yeah, nobody is locked out of this conversation, hopefully. Yeah, this is like also our own, what is it, like media partner. As you can see, there is CNS, which is amazing that there are a lot of other webinars happening even before or leading up to ICFP. There is Nigeria Health Watch, Global Girls Glow, and Jacarandas, which is that's like our local media partner in Colombia itself. And yeah, like as I mentioned in the beginning, many people like, okay, then how can actually we ensure that the meaningful participation happening, especially for like young people? This is exactly why we have, and I would like to highlight and spotlight the ICFP live stage. Maybe some of you already attended ICFP before, like previously it was in Bangkok, in Thailand. And then like, as you know that there are like ICFP live stage, people can, you know, speak about a lot of issues within 10 minutes and it's very like amazing with a lot of spotlight. So think of ICFP live stage as the movements of open newsroom. I would like to say this one in Bogota. It's going to be very bold, around 10-minute segments, film from a central hub on the site and broadcast as they happen. So happening at the same time. It is actually designed to elevate voices and topics that often get squeezed out of the scientific panels, like by using, you know, storytelling, youth-led reporting, rapid reactions, and practical demos. And after each segment, usually recordings are actually edited to an on-demand library. So your team or like other people that couldn't be there at home can brief a minister, clinic director, or donor at the same time and the same day. So it means like in an easier way, it's like bring one outcome, one data point, and the next step, others people can also copy by just like watching the live stage, because there are a lot of people applying for the live stage, and it's amazing. We see that a lot of people are very interested as well. So yeah, it's gonna be like one of the best way to also showcase and bring the specific issues and controversial one. For example, talking about pleasure, talking about faith, but in a very engaging and non-stressful way. I would like to say that the ICFP, because we literally love to share the success story, but also probably lesson learned during the ICFP live stage. And last but not least, because I'm aware of the timing, I hope I'm not talking too much. And the last part is, yes, I want to introduce this. I think Shobha mentioned that I'm the host of 6 O'Clock News. Practically, there are a couple of like sessions or topics that FPNN hold or like host. There is like Hablalak. There is also 6 O'Clock News, and then Hotline Report, something like that. So I'm the one that like hosting the 6 O'Clock News. So the FPNN, for some people that do not know, is actually the media backbone orbiting in ICFP, a network of journalists, experts, and also creator who turns conference content into reporting people that can people can actually use. For example, like the live shows, IG Live, explainers, and interviews that travel beyond the venue itself. So for my own thing, I host 6 O'Clock News. What is 6 O'Clock? Is it only talking about sex? No. So this is like a youth-led desk built for clarity and speed. Like the rules is simple. The topic are super also controversial, but in a very scientific way that we bring also the data and then the real report. Like it has to be about evidence first, using the plain languages and frontline voices. So usually I also interview a lot of amazing young leaders all over the world. For my side, like I'm actually spotlighting a lot of young leaders from Southeast Asia because I'm from Indonesia. And then we talk about, like, as you can see in here, comprehensive sexuality education as a Muslim perspective, or like what does actually Islam really say about virginity. So those kind of thing, that people probably will be like, oh, it's too much, I don't want to involve with this kind of topic. But exactly what I think Aro mentioned in the beginning, engaging people that literally maybe not part of the topic before, it's going to be like one of the way to make the topic very inclusive. So I'm talking about like CSE in here, within like 2 minutes video on Instagram Reels and also YouTube. And it's in a plain languages so that like more people can also understand about the comprehensive sexuality education. Sometimes the topic is revolving around like Muslim or Islam, which is I'm bringing also the data and fact from Quran and Hadith. And that's what basically I'm creating and I'm doing before ICFP and leading up to ICFP, and also during and after ICFP. So this is not only gonna happen and stop in ICFP. But if you are coming to Bogota, Colombia, my session will be at the live stage every day from 4, 5, and 6 November at 6 p.m. local time. I will host this 6 O'Clock News for around 20 minutes, interviewing people, talking about like controversial issues, interviewing as well world leaders and also amazing young leaders from all over the world by using storytelling. Sometimes gonna be also theatrical process so people can get engaged even more. So yeah, that's practically from us. So if you really want to know more about like ICFP or FPNN, I'll leave my email and also the contact from the ICFP and FPNN. So I hope that we can meet in Bogota and then do some other things and then like ensure that we're gonna create a meaningful process for young people all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dina. Thank you for this very power-packed presentation. And we look forward to ICFP 2025. And also, I love the title, 6 O'Clock News. So that's great.
6 o'clock at 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock. Right. At 6 o'clock. So we are looking forward to seeing you in Bogota and the others who will be there. And the live stage looks very attractive. It's from what you have said. And then you will be there at the live stage every day, 6 o'clock, for 6 o'clock. Thank you so much, Dina. Another ICFP 2025 highlight is a special side event session which is being hosted by Global Center for Health Diplomacy and Inclusion, or CeHDI, on the theme of the right to health, the gateway to accelerating action on SRHR and maternal health. So those going to ICFP, please be welcome to join us in Bogota on 4th November at 7 a.m. in room number 3 of the conference center. Save the date. And 7 a.m. So CeHDI has promised to give us breakfast there, because we'll have to leave our hotel breakfast if we have to be there at 7 o'clock. Now we come to the final highlight of ICFP 2025 from our side. The She and Rights Media Awards ceremony would be hosted by ICFP 2025, CeHDI, CNS and partners at the conference in Bogota, Colombia. This second edition of She and Rights Media Awards has received an inspiring response with 369 applications from 32 countries worldwide. And applications came from every region, but most of them, about 91%, came from Asia Pacific and African region. Entries were submitted in 6 languages: English, French, Bahasa, Hindi, Nepalese, and Bangla. From Angola to Zimbabwe and from Australia to the United States, the breadth of participation reflects the global commitment to advancing SRHR through powerful media storytelling. A 28-member judging panel is now hard at work reviewing submissions. Watch ICFP 2025 live, where awardees would be recognized at ICFP in Bogota this November. That was the last highlight I wanted to mention of ICFP 2025. We now move over to our question and answer session. Participants, please type in your questions in the chat box and write the name of organization if possible. And we are very honored to have with us today in the audience Dr. Pam Rajput, the very well-known Indian academic and feminist activist. And she is known for her work on gender and development issues. So, Pam, can I take the liberty of asking you to say a few words, please?
Hello.
Hello. Yes, Pam.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly. Yes.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate you all for organizing this event.
Thank you.
And really highlighting the critical issues facing gender equality and all the dimensions of gender equality. Right, as you have talked about how now the word gender is being questioned itself. But I also, as a teacher, I'm so very happy that the issue of the well-being of teachers has been raised. I think this is the first meeting where my community has been recognized, their concerns and interests have been recognized. I wouldn't like to say much except that whatever is the outcome of this meeting, right? I stand with you, whatever strategies, maybe through email also, I will send some comments of mine. But thank you very much for updating us. Though, of course, you know, Shobha, very well that I attend CSW every year.
Yes, yes.
Right from the year 1993.
Yes.
Right before Beijing.
Yes.
And I have attended also HLPF for that matter. But this year I did not go. I've been frustrated because of, I want to be very frank, the kind of administration you have, you fear entering. So the question is, on the one side, all of us are so enthusiastic. We have worked over the years, all the issues that my friends have raised, the speaker, the panelists have raised over here, how much our input has gone into, how much our advocacy has gone into. But as far as the future is concerned, there's a big question mark. Not that we should leave it up, okay, nothing is happening, so what should, we'll have to struggle. So I think the coming generation, the young leadership in whom we are pinning our faith, right? We are talking about the young leader and taking the faith. I think much more responsibility is going to be on them, how to see to it that what we have gained, at least we don't regress. If we are not progressing, we don't regress, and that our rights, whether they are sexual, for the CSW so-called agreed conclusions, I'm using the word agreed conclusions. Agreed conclusions they came at the cost of the SRHR, right? It came at the cost of SRHR. Okay, if you want to continue this word, then remove that. This is how we are going to give up all our struggle, all our rights, So I do hope that people who have been here and those who are listening today, the kind of commitment that they have, we will continue. But times are difficult for that matter. And we look to the young leaders. Of course, we are always there with you, right? On every platform, we are there. But we look to the young leadership, particularly the rights of the diverse groups. Number one, the issues of SRHR, all other things go on, but nothing is going to happen. The other day, that is digressing, just 1 second, I'll take more. And
please go on, Pam.
we-
It is a pleasure to hear to you.
yeah, so we have been talking about, all the next section of CSW is going to be on the issues of the judicial institutions and all that, laws and institutions and all that. So they all will like to talk about their domestic thing, but nobody is going to, we have to highlight what is the point of having the International Court of Justice. What is the point of having Rome Statute or ICC, as you call it, right? You have passed genocide. You know what has happened in Gaza, Palestine, what has happened in Ukraine, and how women are suffering for that matter, right? So the court comes out with a judgment. Oh, so and so has committed genocide. But happening what, right? You take a plane and go to the United States of America, nobody is going to catch hold of you. So this is making not only a mockery, but in question mark the whole United Nations system for that matter, right? So unless we are talking also along with this, the whole issue of UN80. It's all good to have celebration, but what does UN80 mean so far? Not only that we are now having a president of the General Assembly, or that matter, we are talking about Secretary General of the United Nations should next be women. But the question is, will that women be free of the forces which are so regressive and which are taking us so, backward for that matter? These are some of the issues, towards the other side of my life that I'm concerned with. Is this our movement? How do we carry it forward that we are able to tell the coming generation, no, we struggled hard. We have achieved something. 95 was something, this thing. So when we say Beijing 30, right? And I will end by saying over here, when we were there in Beijing, right? All of us were singing, right? When shall we overcome? When shall we overcome? In all the languages what we were singing. And I'm reminded of in 2000, when the special session of the General Assembly was held, right? And I was invited from the civil society to represent Asia Pacific region to make a statement and address the General Assembly. And fortunately, I still carry that speech with me. And the last words of that speech were, when shall we sing, we have overcome, we have overcome. But the tragedy is that when UN is celebrating its, UN80, right? We are discussing these very issues. how to save what we have gained so far. We don't, lose. Anyway, my hope is on people like you and our friend from Arrow and other young friends who spoke today. I'm so very happy I could be a part of this, discussion. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you for being here with us. And yes, I know what your thoughts. We also think the same way, at least the older generation. But I still have the hope that we shall overcome, and we have to work towards that.
Yeah.
We cannot just sit down. And
I stand by you. I shall always stand by you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you very much. We have a question from Zafar Kidwai for Shiphrah. Zafar says, important presentation. Shiphrah, will there be any civil society reporting on EVOG at CSW 70 to which we can contribute ahead of the meet? Is any regional meet hybrid being planned to feed in the same? Yes, Shiphrah.
Hi, Shobha. Yes, so there are multiple ways to engage the Commission on the Status of Women. Actually, today is the deadline for written statements from NGOs in consultative status with ECOSOC or the Economic Social Council. But if you don't have like ECOSOC accreditation, you could maybe contribute to a written statement by an organization that does. Another way is also to obviously go to New York, do an oral statement. They also usually put up like all these opportunities to engage the commission in the CSW page of the UN Women website. So there's the written statement. So you don't have to travel to New York for that. There's the oral statements that happen at the UN, but also there are other opportunities to engage through the interactive dialogues. Like I mentioned, the multi-stakeholder meeting where civil society is invited. You could also follow the process remotely through the Women's Rights Caucus, and I'll share the sign-up form for the Women's Rights Caucus. If you join the Women's Rights Caucus, then you'll get updates around the Commission on the Status of Women. There's also a parallel forum that happens every year, parallel to the official Commission on the Status of Women, and that's called the NGO Forum on CSW. Give me a moment and I'll share at least the link for the WRC, and folks are free to sign up as long as they agree to some principles. And so we are very big on gender justice and all that accompanies that. We're inclusive of trans and sex workers. So if you adhere to these principles, then you're very welcome to join the Women's Rights Caucus.
Thank you. Thank you, Shiphrah. We have, I can see a hand raised of a journalist from South Africa, Sindhi Sibe. What would you like to say? Sindhi Sibe. Yes, please speak.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you all? My name is Sindisiwe Buthelezi from South Africa in KZN. I would like to thank you for the robust engagement that you had today, because it's the information that we really need. We really need to engage with, more especially here in South Africa. More especially in KZN, where I'm staying in Johannesburg. A lot of parents are in resistance of accepting the content at school that talks about sexual reproductive health rights, including the sexual education. So indeed, we really need to have a platform like this so that we will be able to assist as our organization and our media house are more robust on that issue. So to me, I've learned a lot to the presenters today. I'm looking forward to hear more in November online about these issues, and I'll be producing some articles. Yeah, and again, as we are hosting in South Africa, as we are hosting the G20 in Africa for the first time, I have organized the event under the theme called Women and Youth Climate Change Integration, Health, Productive Health Rights, using indigenous languages, because most of the time the issues that we talk about the sexual issues are written in the languages that the community that we are working with, they don't understand. So if we can get more that are written in the language that the community will understand more, it will give a great impact. So I want to say thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would any of the speakers like to respond to her? Sai, would you like to say something regarding the comprehensive sexuality education part? Yes, Sai. Yes, Shiphrah. Shiphrah,
Sorry, I'm just
Yes.
seeing the follow-up question around the regional
Right.
meetings ahead of CSW. So there are also regional consultations that are organized ahead of CSW for Asia Pacific that usually happens in February in Bangkok at the ESCAP, the Economic Social Commission for Asia Pacific. So yeah, so I think you need to kind of tune in to your regional ECOSOC offices or regional UN offices, or even your UN Women National offices will have information around these regional meetings if you want to be involved in those too.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Shiphrah, for that information. Sai, there is a question for you from Kavita Upadhyay, that are there accountability measures too for 20 plus countries who took part in CSE regional meeting? And congratulations for mobilizing so many countries from within the region. Sai, I think you have answered the question in the chat box, but our program is also going live on YouTube. So it would be great if you could speak and reply. Yes, Sai, are you there? All right. In fact, I will read out the question, the answer which Sai has given. She says accountability mechanisms can include the SDG 4 on quality education. At the global and regional level, we utilize the target 4.7 on ensuring all learners acquire the language and skills for sustainable development, human rights, and global citizenship by 2030 as the entry point for comprehensive sexuality education. There is a question for Zuzan by Rashmi Kumar. Rashmi wants to know if Zuzan can tell us more on CSE implementation in Laos and other Southeast Asian nations like Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, and if Brunei, Darussalam, and Indonesia are also keeping their progress on CSE. Zuzan, would you like to please answer that?
Yes, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, very clear.
Okay. So in Laos, YPEER worked very closely with the UNFPA and the Ministry of Education, and more CSOs and organizers to strengthen CSE integration in both schools and non-formal settings, alongside with, for example, CSO that focus on youth and reproductive health. For example, there are also ongoing CSE-related projects at the National University of Laos, the biggest university in Laos, such as the UNESCO-supported programs that provides training on CSE knowledge and skills happened recently. And also in Thailand, there is YPEER Thailand is implementing peer education programs and digital learning tools to reach more young people. And there are many programs happening in Thailand. And while YPEER Vietnam, it's engaging universities and youth network to promote CSE through creative campaigns. Cambodia and Thailand has strong national frameworks, and CSE in Indonesia is progressing under the support of their Ministry of Education and UNSNC, with active digital learning platforms, which is reaching many youth already. But unfortunately, not yet in Brunei. We have not yet started in collaboration or activities under YPEER Asia Pacific yet. But we hope so in the future we can collaborate Brunei YPEER. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Zuzan. Thank you so much. All right, with this, we come to the close of today's session. Our heartfelt gratitude to all our esteemed speakers for enriching today's conversation with their thought-provoking reflections. Special thanks to our audience for their lively participation. Namaste. Till we meet again next month. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Shobha.
Thank you, Dina. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.